We're all good. Do I sound better? Do I have a better mic today?
Hey, yeah, this does sound better. Yeah, yeah, it sounds when we're live streaming out of these.
Yeah, we're all good.
Okay, well. Adam, I'd appreciate it if you could do the count for me, please, and if you could announce the 2/3 plus 1 result in the chat, please. Thank you. I think I've done a little thing at the bottom.
Would somebody be, Jim, would you proxy and vote yes for me, please?
Yeah, I'm just trying to proxy somebody else at the moment, Douglas, but yeah, I'll do that.
I already did it.
Thank you.
From G.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody. We were able to get James's music there. He wasn't in situ, so I apologise for the voting music. We'll let that one just run for a moment. So the next tip that we have to vote on is tip 33, voting restrictions on Telos Foundation rewards, pool tokens. So shall we, again, I don't really wish, unless anybody wants to particularly talk about this, as we had a lot of discussion, and it's been open tip for a week, in the tips channel for a week. Would anybody care to propose and second this motion?
I'll move to a vote. This is Ian with Amplified.
I second it.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to put that next one into the chat. We might have to wait a few minutes to get the results on these, and we will move on because Adam will have to do a little bit of counting, etc., etc. So
yeah, I think maybe another minute or so just to let it trickle in would be fair.
Okay, I'll let that roll for a little bit then, Ian.
I mean, if Rob or Adam is on the call, perhaps they just want to speak to this for a moment.
Does Adam want to speak to the call? To the tip, he hasn't so far, Mark. I'm not sure that Rob's with us.
I can. Can you hear me?
Okay, I'm going to put in the second question now, unless anybody objects.
Sorry, I was gonna say I can speak to it. I wasn't getting unmuted. Sorry about that.
Okay, carry on then, Adam.
Yeah. Really, I mean, the rationale for us is simple on this one. We don't, the intention of Telos in the first place was to not have essentially voting whales that controlled who the active block producers were and other referendums on the network. So we thought it would probably be fair to put this kind of self-restriction on the token's voting power for the rewards pool tokens, because there's going to be more than a few block producers and community members that get well over the 40,000 token mark. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to create another kind of class of voting whale when we were trying to get rid of them originally.
Okay, thank you, Adam. Anybody got any questions for Adam briefly?
Yeah, maybe a question for me. If we have voted no so far on the previous one, so that means that you vest all your tokens, and that means that, how does that relate to this one? You could potentially, of course, do all kinds of things. So I assume that you're not supposed to spread them over friends and ask them to vote. What is the view on that? How does 33 fit with 32?
Could you reply to that, Adam, by any chance?
Can you explain the last part of that again?
Yeah, so if we vest all our tokens in one go, the previous tip was about vesting. If you would vest everything straight away, obviously you could spread them out over people that are friends and that will still vote for you. So how does the current tip deal with that? Are we going to say we trust everybody not to do that, or do we interpret it very limited that we only, as long as we as a block producer own them, only then we cap ourselves? How does this tip relate to the previous tip?
Yeah, so I think that the way that it relates to the previous tip was the previous tip was going to help with things like token washing. So I would say that now without the previous tip, it's going to be a little bit more in the good faith of the block producers, right? We can put it in the Constitution because I believe the tip at the bottom, the specification for it would be to amend the Constitution, and I believe also the reg producer contract as well slightly. But it's really going to be one of those things where it's not necessarily foolproof or preventable, right? Those kind of scenarios now.
Okay, Douglas, please.
Thanks, Jim. Last time when we discussed this, I had some questions about the actual, along those same lines. What, if there are any technical definitions of how we would deal with the washing and whatnot? For example, a case where a block producer has their rewards pool funds, but then also has being a block producer, if they chose to sell their rewards pool funds so that they could vote their other ones, is that going to be considered? Is that likely to be considered washing? I'm curious if anything, and I didn't see anything new put in in the last few days. Has there been any update to this in relation to that question, to the text?
No, there hasn't been an update, and to be honest with you, I'm happy to kind of pull this one back and make some changes to it based on the feedback. I've been a little bit out of it, so I hadn't seen that, and I haven't had a chance to talk to Rob since he's been over in San Francisco. So I would be more than happy to kind of pull this one back and kind of reevaluate if we want to even move forward with it at all.
Point of order, we have moved to vote for this and it has been seconded. So given that, what would be the appropriate way to proceed?
And we can move forward too if that's the appropriate way, obviously.
I've got no idea what the appropriate way is because we are in an area where we haven't got any binding rules of arbitration. Douglas.
I don't know exactly what Robert's rules would say about this, but it does seem that the fact that the joined bill or the paired bill or tip failed does mean that there would have to be some kind of updates to this before we can really vote for it. I would move that if the author in this case wishes to withdraw it and bring it back as another bill, I think that.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, Ian, I'll just realise it's irrelevant whether it's voted or it's not voted because we have voted tips down and they've just been reapplied. So whether we vote on it or not vote on it, we're just wasting our time actually going through with the vote because as with the round one, we voted it down 3 times and it came back 3 times. So it's actually immaterial whether it's voted down or not. It can come back as yet another. It can come back again at another meeting for it to be discussed, being reworked.
Okay, so if I'm hearing you correctly, I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's Sayed from Sweden Connect. I have been in Slack reading some of the comments from Rob, and also looked into other commands. I think the only if we, let's assume if we pass this tip, the only way to implement this is administrative controls. I don't think there could be any technical controls implemented within next 2 months. So if we want to pass it, it will be only administrative controls, meaning that it could be part of the TBN operating agreement or something like that. So it's more like a goodwill from the block producers. Otherwise, we have to spend 2 months to implement it properly. Yeah.
That's okay, guys. Well, I'm at a loss now. I'm whether we want to vote it or not vote.
Can I just say?
Yes, James.
Can we just? I don't think that we should waste time on a vote. Adam already said he wants to pull it back, and I think that's totally reasonable. I think that I don't understand why we would earn time with this at this point. I mean, we're all a group who are working together on this, and I think that's appropriate for Adam to pull back his tip before we vote on it. I just think it's a waste of time, personally.
Yeah, thank you, James. I'm gonna go with that, and I'm gonna say that's what we're doing. So Adam is formally withdrawing the tip. We won't move to a vote, and we're now on to the working group chair updates. So is there anybody? So I'm going down my list. The first person that I'm going to come to is the network mate. Oh, sorry, no. The first one I'm going to go to is governance, as Douglas wished to speak to governance, and that's the first one that's actually got anything written in there, unless anybody else wants to come in before then. So I'm going to go to Douglas, and then let me know, please.
Thanks very much, Jim. There's a technical issue around voting has driven us to re-examine one of the parameters of the ratify amend voting. In short, and so I just want to put this on everybody's radar so that we can discuss this quickly. So, in short, the way we are going to be doing voting now, votes will be a resource that are updated. It's going to be great. Worked very hard on creating the least gameable version of voting. As we all know, because we live mostly in democratic countries, all voting has some gameability, but we think we've made a good version. There's one shortcoming though, and that is that if we have, it would be optimal if all the voting periods were the same, were 1 month, instead of having the ratify amend be 3 months. So I would like to just initiate that discussion. I can talk more about why that is in Slack. I'd like people to sort of watch that space so we can discuss it. And I think that the governance group will have to meet this week and put forward not a tip, but a recommendation from the governance group on that. So please, I just want everyone to be aware of that, and we'll have more discussion on Slack on why that is, with the hope that we can have a vote on this based on a governance working group proposal soon. If there's anyone who has any questions about that, I'm happy to answer them. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Douglas. So with the governance working group will be meeting this week. So if keep an eye on the Slack channel, and we'll get a time and a date for that, no doubt. Okay, and what I'm hearing from that is that next Tuesday we will bring an amendment forward with a recommendation that we can vote in at the start of the meeting. Is that what I'm hearing? Yeah.
Yes, please. Yes, that's the intention. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I mean, I am trying to be as coy as I can, but I'm very, very conscious that we want to be moving to a position where we can launch this as safely and as correctly as possible.
The only difference would be that it would change the length of a vote on a ratify amend from 3 months to 1 month to be the same as all other votes. That would be the full extent of change.
Okay, thank you, Douglas. Well, I'm sure we can get something on the agenda for next week, which will be quite clear. Okay, thank you for that. Can I go down to network maintenance? JT, Jesse, Jerry, anything for us there?
This is Jerry Lockhart. The auto rotation is working fine. The auto kick is working, and also the vote to kick him out works. That's it.
Yeah, this is Jesse. I was just gonna mention the auto rotation, just so everybody knows, whether they're participants or the public, that we are auto rotating the test net on an hourly basis. We will rotate one person out. That would be whoever's in the first position gets rotated out. And that's not based on votes. That's just based on a list that we maintain. And that person goes to the back of the line, and we keep moving every 3 hours, one position. So whatever you see on the test net is based on that auto rotation and nothing more. And also based on that, there's no reason to try to get the faucet for voting. So those faucet funds are for people that want to develop and test on the test net. And there's no reason to grab more for voting.
Okay, Jesse, thanks for that. And Jerry and all the guys and the people on that, on the maintenance. The fact that we've got that working and it's on an hourly basis sounds absolutely fantastic to my ears. So that is really, really great news. So brilliant. That's really loving that. Okay, then. Martin, social media, anybody want to, it's just, I've got a quick thank you. So anybody want to do a quick thank you for that? No, that was me saying quick thank you from everybody. So that's great.
Thank you. I was muted.
Carry on then, try again.
Madeline Amplified. Thank you. I was muted.
Okay, thanks. I think we got there. All right then. Okay then, Telos Foundation. This one was a quick one from me. If you want to, I think that we are going to try and arrange a call to just sort of talk about the arrangements for the election. So if you keep an eye on in Slack, please. I think myself, Beth, one or two other people have been looking at this, and we're going to try and get a call together to just try and work up the idea of the foundation hitting the ground running. So we're not suddenly thinking what we're going to do when we need to get this thing happening. So we're just ahead of the game a little bit. I've tried to move things forward a little bit in the nominations channel. So just trying to get some more than anything else to get people to realise, just so that people are really clear about the sort of jobs that are going to have to be done and the sort of workload that is there, and that everyone's fully aware. There are two documents that you really need to have read, one from Beth, which is a great document, so thanks again for that one, Beth, that's brilliant. And the one that's been there for quite a while, you need to have a full understanding of those if you are. Make sure that all the nominees are in that channel. And if you are a member of the nominees channel and you're perfectly happy to stay there, but there's going to be quite a lot of channeling. So if you don't want to get upset if we keep pinging you and you're there and you're not a nominee, but you are quite welcome to be there. Beth, do you want to say anything about the foundation? No? All I've got here is...
jump in while there's a silence. Sorry, Douglas. Somebody needs to mute because it sounds like they've got a cold or something. Is it Trenton? Or if Adam could do it.
I think it might be Jan, Roger. Sorry, Jan. Okay, so we've got Chinese and Korean governance document getting translated at the moment, so that's brilliant. And the white paper has been translated into Portuguese. They're the notes that we've got for the live stream, so that's great. Jan, do you want an update on the RAM group, please?
Yeah, just one quick comment. Apologies for the noise. My question. In order to have all the public keys ready for the RAM accounts, the 2 RAM accounts, I've sent messages to everybody who I've requested as a BP to be part of being an owner or an active permission BP in these 2 accounts. If you could please look at those messages and actually send me the public that I can include so that we can actually have everything ready before launch and also test it before launch. Thank you.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. Just seeing a mistake. Okay, we haven't got any new submissions for tips, which I'm glad to hear personally. I don't really want to look at section 6, which is the Telos launch group checklist, because that hasn't changed since the last go no go call. So I think the next date for the next who does these agendas, because that's not up to date. Who's that person who does those? I wonder. I think the next call is going to be on the 20th, which will incorporate our go no go call. I think I've set a record of closing this meeting in 32 minutes, unless anybody's got anything further they wish to say.
See ya.
Other than see you, thank you, Jay. Make sure you put a mask on when you go out with all that smoke.
Yeah, bye. Bye.
Okay, guys. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Adam.